So, LaVar, who won the Wentz trade, Eagles or Colts?
Well, the Colts easily won the trade war because when you look at it, the amount of draft picks that the Colts had to give up. I mean, a conditional second round for next year, a third rounder this year, and that conditional being if Wentz plays 70% or more, or 70%, 75% and makes the playoffs, they get a first round. That means that they're doing well with Wentz. Not to mention that the Eagles have to eat so much dead money off of this trade. I look at what the possible upside of him joining his former offensive coordinator, who he had his best season under, in Wright. This is definitely a win for the Colts. They had more talent. They had the more complete team, a better team. And really, and when you think about it, what did the Eagles really do by making this trade other than being able to give themselves something like $850 in cap space for this season? So I think long term, I don't know what it means for the Eagles, but short term, they definitely lost on this one.
Well, what the Eagles did was get someone who was extremely unhappy, who was the face of their franchise, out of the building and cleared way for the future of the franchise with a new coach in a new direction. They have Jalen Hurts in the building. They're talking about drafting another quarterback, which I think is a mistake. I don't know if anyone has told the Eagles this, but a quarterback battle is generally not a good situation. That means you don't know who your quarterback is. Teams that have this issue generally don't do well. The Bears had a quarterback battle this year. Didn't go so well for them. The Dolphins had a quarterback battle this year. They didn't make the playoffs. This is not a good situation for the Eagles right now, but they had to make this move because they had to move into the future. And Carson Wentz was clearly done there. I agree with you, LaVar. I think that the Colts clearly won this trade in the immediate. And I think that they will win it long term as well, because the Colts are set up right now to be contenders. We saw what Phillip Rivers did with them last year in his final year in the NFL. I didn't even think he was going to play this year, and he did a really good job with them. They have great weapons. They have a running game. They have a much better offensive line, to say the least. Carson Wentz was sacked 50 times last season. Phillip Rivers had plenty of time to throw. So, and their defense is in place. So I think it's a great situation for Carson Wentz joining up with Frank Reich. They didn't really have to give up a lot to get him at all, and the Colts and the Eagles, are eating most of it. But this is a move they had to make.
Yeah, the Colts win. The Colts win, and Carson Wentz probably won even on top of the Colts because the Eagles are left in limbo. We don't know what they're going to do with their quarterback position and moving forward. But as far as the Colts, you both laid it out. They are set up for success. Now, how much success can they have depends on what the production of Carson Wentz looks like. And I believe that he can get back to a serviceable playing career like we saw when he was in the room in those meetings with Frank Reich, someone he trusts, someone that he knew believed in him and his abilities. And as players, and it's strange because we're talking about a professional athlete that's going to be in a competition all of his career, needing to feel comfortable, needing to feel supported. But when you're talking about a quarterback, you better give him the support he needs so that he can perform at the level that he's capable of. And I believe that he has that with the Colts right now in the immediate, moving down towards the future. They have their guy. If they can make it right, if Frank Reich is that right guy for Carson Wentz, the Colts did it right, and they won by a landslide.
I saw what you did there, Greg. I saw what you did there, Greg.
You saw that?
I see you. Yeah. That's a great play on words. I see you.
I'm with you guys in that the Colts clearly won this trade, but it's not 100%. And it's not 100% because we're not certain that Carson Wentz is going to return to form. I mean, look, his mechanics did deteriorate. They've got to rebuild that. Mentally, he showed weakness. It's as simple as that. I mean, from when Nick Foles won the Super Bowl, and then that next year, clearly that bothered Carson Wentz. Then they draft Jalen Hurts. And instead of looking at it as I'm going to use this as motivation to go out and have a better year, he was looking over his shoulder and worried about it, and that affected his play. Look, Aaron Rodgers was upset when they drafted Jordan Love, and I know Rodgers is much better than Wentz, but he didn't sulk because of it. He went out and said, all right, I'm going to prove that you made the wrong decision. Carson couldn't do that. So I want to see more mental toughness out of him in Indianapolis. And we heard this for the past several years, guys. The locker room wasn't really feeling, at least a large part of the locker room wasn't really feeling Carson Wentz. He alienated some guys. There was a feeling that there was some arrogance there, that he was aloof and things like that. The intangibles are where Carson lacked in Philadelphia as well. And then on top of that, he's injury prone. He really is. That goes all the way back to college. He's injury prone. So look, I'm with you. Everything's set up for if Carson Wentz can regain his form, Indianapolis should be very good. But there are some red flags there. And if he doesn't return to form, they got a lot of money they got to pay him to be a mediocre quarterback.
What's interesting about what you're saying, Chris, is when I say the Colts won the battle or the war of this trade, it's not really based upon the projection or trajectory of Carson Wentz. When I made my point, it was purely based off of cap relief or draft picks that had to be given up. If Carson Wentz doesn't work out for the Colts, I don't really look at it as being that big of a deal. You lose a third rounder this year, and if you lose a possible first rounder based upon what the possible performance of what's his name? Carson Wentz? Oh, yeah, that's right. If you get this guy and he doesn't play well, you're okay. So when I look at the things you're talking about, Chris, the mental duress that this man has gone under since being a Philadelphia Eagle, think about it. His best year ended in him not being the guy who was the reason why they won the Super Bowl. Mental duress, mental chip away. He hasn't played well since. Mental chip away. Thrown away for Jalen Hurts. Mental chip away. We're talking about all these things, getting his confidence back, having a coach that believes in him. He needs players and a team that believes in him, that supports him, and make sure they push him along. Like all these things we're using to explain Carson Wentz. I don't know that I have faith in the player at this point, but I do have faith in the trade, that it was a financially sound trade for the Colts more so than it was for the Eagles. Joy.
Well, the Colts are going to assume the rest of the contract and the $10 million guarantee, but I'm with you. They didn't give up a whole lot, and it's worth the risk to possibly get a franchise quarterback. But to your point about all the mental stuff, that's a big deal. To me, the way that things ended in Philadelphia is not a good look for Carson Wentz. It's not like a Deshaun Watson situation where we all agree we got to get Deshaun out of there. That's a dysfunctional situation. We know what he's capable of. We know what kind of leader he is. We know what he can do with very little. Carson Wentz let everything that happens to everyone in the league affect him. Everyone gets injured. Next, everyone gets a replacement drafted at some point. Next, everyone has issues with their coaches or their teammates at some point. Next, what happened to Carson Wentz that was so unique, that is so unprecedented, that you shouldn't have overcome that? I'm not saying that these aren't hard things to overcome. I'm just saying this comes with the job. These are things that come with what you signed up to do for a living. So I think it's a good situation for Carson Wentz because he's comfortable with Frank Wright. But I also believe that there's a lot of pressure on him now because you are in the situation that you clearly wanted, that you thrived in before, and you didn't really set the tone for your intangibles, as Chris said, moving forward. So there's a lot that has to come out of this on Carson Wentz's end because we already know the Colts are set up to win.
Mm-hmm. I hear you guys, and I just don't think it will be that much of a mental struggle for Carson Wentz because, yes, it was in Philly, but it was because of all the reasons you mentioned, LaVar. But now, mental add-on, I get my guy back. Mental add-on, I got a line that can protect. Mental add-on, I got a team that can actually play, and they are pretty healthy. I'm the one that just has to do my part and be the role that they need me to be, which is a great quarterback, a good leader, and not turn the ball over. All of those things will be assisted by the coach that he decided to partner back with in Frank Wright. So I don't think that it's going to be a big issue. I love that he's able to get back to a situation where he is comfortable. And yeah, it may be a little soft that he couldn't handle the challenge and the competition with Jalen Hurts, and that he couldn't bounce back after Nick Foles taking the team that he was leading to the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl. But every player is built different, and that's okay. As long as you're able to produce, I'm willing to take what you have to offer. If you can continue to produce. The Eagles with Carson Wentz, he wasn't able to continue to produce. They win, get rid of him. And then the Colts win because they feel like, you know what, I can get them back to where they couldn't do it. And that's the beauty about this league. I don't care who you are, what you are. There's always somebody that feels like they can do more with something that you did less with. That's the beauty of the National Football League.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.